Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Smart English. I'm Mizu. This channel is all about learning simple, practical English you can use in real life, not just in a textbook.
Hey guys, I'm Lucas. Welcome back to learners all around the world. We're really happy to have you here learning English together with us.
Before we start today's lesson, we just want to say thank you so much for all the comments, messages, and topic requests from you. We really appreciate them. We read them carefully, and we always try to turn your real questions into real-life English lessons.
You've asked for a topic but haven't seen it yet? Don't worry. Feel free to comment again so we don't miss anyone.
We read all your comments and messages.
Yes, your requests help us choose our lessons.
If we missed your topic, comment again.
We don't want to miss anyone.
Thank you for learning with us.
Let's start today's lesson.
We really appreciate them. We read them carefully, and we always try to turn your real questions into real-life English lessons.
If you've asked for a topic but haven't seen it yet, don't worry. Feel free to comment again so we don't miss anyone.
So, Lucas, how are you today? How was your day?
It was pretty good, actually. After work, my coworker invited me to grab coffee.
Oh, nice. Did you go?
No, I didn't. I was really tired, so I said no thanks.
Interesting. You said no thanks, but you didn't say not thanks.
Oh, wow, yeah, that would sound very strange.
And here's another thing. If someone asks you to go out today, but you can't, do you say no today or not today?
Definitely not today. Same idea, but completely different feeling.
Exactly. And English learners stop right there and think, wait, why no problem, but not today? Why no worries, but I'm not ready?
And then the confusion starts. No and not feel very similar, so why do we use two different words?
Here's something really important. The problem is not your English, and it's not because you didn't study enough grammar.
The real problem is that we focus too much on the word.
Here's something really important. The problem is not your English, and it's not because you didn't study enough grammar.
The real problem is that we focus too much on the word instead of looking at how people actually use English in real life.
So in this video, we're not learning grammar rules. We're not memorizing charts.
We're going to look at real-life situations, listen to how people react and feel when no sounds natural and when not sounds right.
Because when English feels real, choosing no or not becomes easy.
All right, let's jump into today's real-life English together.
Before we go any deeper, let's slow down for a second. We don't need details yet. Let's just look at the big picture.
Yeah, when English learners hear no and not, they usually think these two are basically the same, right?
But in real life, people don't use them the same way at all. So let me ask you this, Lucas. When do you usually say no?
Honestly, usually when I react quickly. Someone asks me something and I just answer.
Exactly. No often comes out fast, almost without thinking, like when someone offers you something.
No thanks. Very natural, very direct.
Right? No feels like a reaction. Clear, simple, strong.
Okay, then what about not? When do you hear not more often?
Most of the time, not shows up inside a sentence when you're thinking and then explaining something.
Yeah, like this. I'm not ready. You're not reacting fast. You're sharing an idea.
Exactly. So if we keep it very simple, no is often a quick response, not is part of a thought.
Same negative meaning, but a very different feeling. And that feeling is what helps you choose naturally, not memorizing rules.
So don't worry about details yet. Just remember this picture in your mind.
No feels direct. Not feels thoughtful.
All right, now that we see the big picture, let's separate them and look at each one more closely.
Let's start with no. This one is very close to real life.
Yeah, because no is usually not something you plan. It just comes out.
So let me ask you something. If someone offers you more food, what do you usually say most of the time?
No thanks.
Exactly. You didn't stop and think. You didn't build a sentence.
You just reacted. And that's what no often is, A reaction. No. Or maybe no way.
Right? Again, very fast, very natural.
So when no stands alone, it doesn't mean you're being rude. It just means you're responding quickly.
That's important. No isn't always used like a simple no. It's more like a natural reaction.
No explanation yet. No long thinking.
Just feeling the moment and responding.
And that's why you hear things like no, no thank you, no way.
Simple, direct, real life.
All right, now that we feel how no works, let's see what happens when no doesn't stand alone anymore.
Let's look at something English learners often forget, even though we use it all the time in real life. No doesn't always stand alone.
Yeah, and honestly, this one causes a lot of confusion. So let me ask you something first. Does this sentence sound okay to you? I have not money.
It sounds a little strange, right? You understand it, but it doesn't sound natural.
Exactly. But the funny thing is, English learners say this all the time.
So the real question is, what do native speakers actually say in daily life?
They simply say, I have no money.
And the moment you hear that, it sounds natural, it sounds clear, it sounds complete.
That's because no loves to go directly with a noun. No extra words, no long explanation.
Just straight to the point.
Just like in real life situations. No time, no money, no idea, no problem.
When you say it this way, you're not trying to build a long sentence in your head. You're simply showing one clear thing. There is nothing there.
And that's the feeling of no plus noun. Short, direct, decisive.
You're not thinking too much, you're not explaining yourself.
You're simply saying there isn't this thing.
No time, no stress.
Exactly. That's very real life English.
Now that we've seen no with nouns, let's see how not behaves differently.
There's something interesting about no that many learners don't notice. A lot of people memorize phrases with no, but they don't really understand what no is doing there.
Yeah, they remember the phrase, but not the feeling behind it. Take no problem, for example. When someone says thank you and you reply no problem, you're not really saying no to anything.
Right. You're saying, it's okay. It didn't bother me.
And the same thing happens with no worries. You're not talking about worries at all.
You're showing an attitude. Calm, relaxed, friendly.
In real life, people rarely stop and say a full sentence just to say no. They react first, and those reactions are often very short.
Yeah, exactly. In real conversations, people don't say, no, I do not want that. They say things like nope or nah, and everyone understands immediately.
Right, and these words aren't rude. They're not slang in a bad way either. They're just very natural, very spoken English.
For example, if someone asks, are you ready? And you're still thinking, you don't say, I am not ready at this moment. You just say, not yet.
Exactly. Two words, but the meaning is very clear.
Or if someone asks, do you like this movie? And you don't really like it, but you don't want to sound too strong.
You don't say, no, I dislike it. You say, not really.
And that feels much softer, right? It leaves the conversation open.
That's the key. These reactions are not about grammar. They're about feeling and timing.
No reactions like nope or nah come out fast. They're direct, they're emotional.
While not reactions like not yet or not really feel slower, they show you're thinking or being polite.
And this is where many learners get confused. They try to build perfect sentences.
But native speakers are just reacting in the moment.
So remember this. When you hear nope, nah, not yet, not really, that's not textbook English. That's real spoken English.
And once you start listening for these reactions, you'll understand conversations much easier.
Because English is not always about full sentences. Sometimes it's just about the right reaction at the right moment.
All right, Lucas, I think we've talked enough about how no and not work.
Yeah, seriously. Now let's stop explaining.
Exactly.
How about this? We just talk about us and everyone can listen and feel it.
I like that. Guys, we're not teaching now, we're just chatting.
Okay, let me start. Lucas, do you want to grab coffee after filming?
Nah, not today. I'm kinda tired.
Yeah, I can hear that. Are you done with all your work for today?
Not yet. I still have a few things to finish.
So are you excited about editing this video later?
Hello, we're excited to show you our native speech capabilities.
Where you can direct a voice, create realistic dialogue, and so much more. Edit these placeholders to get started.
Very honest. What about you? Do you want to record another video right after this?
Nope, I need a break.
Fair enough.
See? We didn't think. We didn't translate.
We just reacted. And that's exactly how these words live in real English.
Now it's your turn. Imagine you're talking with a friend like this. How would you react?
You don't need perfect sentences, just something that sounds real to you.
Write it in the comments. If it sounds like a real person talking, you're doing great.
Before we wrap up, Lucas, let me ask you something. If you had to explain today's lesson in one feeling, what would it be?
I'd say reaction, because today wasn't really about grammar, it was about how people react in real life.
Exactly. So let's start with no. How does no usually feel to you?
Fast, direct. It comes out almost automatically.
You don't stop and think much, right?
Not at all. No is for clear moments, a thing, an offer, a situation where you don't need to explain.
Now compare that with not. Does it feel the same?
Not really. Not slows things down. It sits inside a sentence and carries an idea.
And because of that, it sounds softer.
Right. You use not when you still want to explain yourself, or when you don't want to close the conversation too quickly.
So the real lesson today is this. It's not about remembering rules. It's about choosing the feeling you want to give.
Sometimes you want to be direct. Sometimes you want to be gentle. Both are natural. Both are correct.
And when you stop translating in your head and start listening to how people really speak, English suddenly feels easier, more natural, more human.
So don't be afraid to speak. If it sounds real to you, you're already doing great.
Thanks so much for learning English with us today.
We'll see you in the next lesson, where English comes from real life, not memorization.
Bye for now.